One of your niches conference, you hijack the mic, you proceed with the app demo, and then you scale. Is that the proven method?
I think that you gotta shout until they hear you out.
And now that app is like 50 million downloads, something like that?
52 million, that's right.
That's insane. You validate the product. How do we get this out to people? You had to learn how to run ads.
In the history of Speechify, I used to lead every department that we had. So I have a very simple playbook. You learn all the practical stuff from the people. We had a lot of success in ASO, SEO, and in person. We found really high product market fit, started scaling. We wanted to scale YouTube. We saw that people were adopting in mainstream. We started producing a lot of ads. I built a Chrome extension. I started this project where we took the top 10,000 websites. With startups, it's all about arbitrage and figuring out where is the bleeding edge. Hello.
Wait, you're Cliff Weitzman, right? I mean, legend has it you showed up uninvited to a Dyslexia conference, hijacked the mic, and then proceeded to demo your app, and now that app is like 50 million downloads, something like that?
52 million, that's right.
That's insane. You know, I was taking some notes today, man, and I just kind of wrote it out here. So how to grow your app, you crash at, one of your niches conference, you hijack the mic, you proceed with the app demo, and then you scale. Is that the proven method? Is that the secret these days?
I think that you gotta shout until they hear you out. And so if you don't have any credibility and you don't know anyone, you start where you can.
Amazing. Well, Cliff, honestly, if this is true, I felt more morally obligated to get the full story on this, record it on a FaceTime so we can get it out to others who might need this. So let's start from the beginning. How did this all get started?
So I'm super dyslexic, and first, second, third, fourth grade could not figure out how to learn how to read. And my dad used to read out books to me, and he'd record himself on a cassette tape, and I just listened to it over and over. When I was 13, I moved to the US and I learned English by listening to Harry Potter audiobooks 22 times in a row, and that's how I learned how to speak English. And in college, I fell in love with building products. So I built about 36 different apps, websites, physical products. And I decided that above everything else, I wanted to be the person that I needed the most when I was a kid. And the thing I really needed was someone to read my books to me. The conference you're referring to was the International Dyslexia Association conference in Florida. And so what I did is I messaged a ton of schools around where I was going to school at Brown and Providence, Rhode Island. And I'd go give guest lectures on how to use Speechify. But this was like a big opportunity. And I couldn't get a ticket. The tickets were really expensive. Right. So I just decided I'm going to show up. So I booked a flight, booked an Airbnb, and just walked into the lobby and just chatted to people until somebody gave me their lanyard. They were going to go fishing. And so the main keynote speaker was finishing speaking. And there was a couple of thousand people in the room. And so I looked around, saw the security was not very close. So I hopped on the stage, did a backflip, and I was like, "Hi, my name is Cliff. I want to show you guys this thing. I'm super dyslexic." Yeah. And no one went to lunch. Everybody stayed around and listened to my pitch. And then I had about 20 schools who offered to follow me out to teach the kids how to use Speechify after that.
Insane. You built this to solve your own pain. When did you realize that millions of others needed it too?
When you're dyslexic and you're 9 years old and you fail at the one thing you're supposed to be good at, the world can either look like a very dark place or it can work like a very optimistic place because you've had something really challenging, but you overcame it. And so that was my experience. And partly it's because I got a lot of unconditional love from my parents and my teachers and my friends and my siblings. So I was very fortunate. I absolutely loved audiobooks. I listened to 2 books a week and I've done that every day for the last 18 years. When I started college, I still couldn't keep up with my readings. And so I ended up building this text-to-speech tool that would read out everything to me. I first saw that other people could use it because I was lucky to win a scholarship called the Line Connect Scholarship for high-performing kids with learning differences. And I saw that nobody was using text-to-speech, and this blew my mind. And so I did the same thing. I was like, "Hey, can I give an impromptu presentation?" And they were like, "Yeah." So I plugged in my computer and I demoed. And there were about 30 people in the room. And a year later, people were still texting me, "Hey, can you send me an update to that software that you built? Because it stopped working, but I need it and I have finals. And why did you build something that broke?" And I was like, "Sorry, let me fix that for you." Shoot. And so I was like, "All right, well, let me teach other people." So I made a YouTube video series on how to use text-to-speech. And, a couple of 100,000 people saw it. And people were leaving comments like, "I'm in tears. My third grader is doing her homework by herself." And I realized that text-to-speech had changed my life. I'm the person that I am today because of text-to-speech and because of my ability to listen fast. In the beginning, I would listen to 0.5x speed, and then 1x, and then 2x, and then 3x. I just gradually learned how to listen fast, and any person can do that if you practice. It's really a superpower. And I realized that everybody needs to learn how to use this, so I needed to do 2 things. Number 1, make the voices great and make the app really nice to use. Right. And number 2 is educate people that you could actually do this.
Insane. Did you have competitors at the time? Like you said, people were getting mad when it broke, right? Was there any other alternatives, or were you kind of in a league of your own at the time?
There was a software called Kurzweil 3000 that I got forbidden by my high school, but it was super clunky, really slow. It was very expensive. It didn't actually work. There was another product that was built by an indie developer, but it was like a side project. It didn't have the features that I needed, which is why I ended up just building my own. And partly it's because yes, I'm very dyslexic and yes, I have ADHD, but like most kids who have ADHD, they're not stupid. They're actually very smart and their brain moves really fast. And I'm good at technology. And so I needed something that moved as fast as I did, but also solved my problem. So I needed keyboard shortcuts. I needed double speed. I needed to be able to take pictures of my books. I needed to be able to start on my computer and finish on my phone. I needed to be able to change the voices. I needed to be able to skip footnotes. I needed to be able to throw a link in there and it'd copy it. I needed to play and pause and like go, you know, an hour and a half into a book, click pause, go have lunch or work out, come back and click play. And I needed to be able to change the speed dynamically. So there was nothing else that allowed me to do any of these things. And still today, there is nothing else that lets me do any of these things. But with time, we ended up building a 45-person AI engineering team. We bought millions of dollars worth of H100 GPUs. And over the last 8.5 years, we built the highest quality voices in the world, the highest quality document parsing in the world, the highest quality OCR for physical documents in the world, the highest quality parsing of emails and LLMs, and even like Google Docs. We just make it really, really easy. You click one play button and it reads.
Love it. Love it. So when it was time for distribution, right, you validate the product. How do we get this out to people? You had to learn how to run ads, and not just ads, like good ads, right? So you started cold DMing people. You flew around the world. You shadowed these people. That's insane. Was that the most ridiculous like growth tactic you pulled off? Is just like learning from the people that are doing it well? Can you walk us through what those days were like when you were doing that?
Yeah. So in the history of Speechify, I used to lead every department that we had.
Right.
I led software engineering. I led design. I led product. I led growth. I led ads. I led HR. I led recruiting, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a very simple playbook. You listen to 100 audiobooks about the topic, 100. Then you find the 100 people that are the best at that thing in the world. You make a Google sheet of them and you find their emails, their LinkedIns, their Instagrams, and you message every single person on that list. And don't just message the CEO. If it's also marketing, message the CMO and head of growth. It's a recruiting, message the head of recruiting. If it's engineering, message the CTO. And I just did this for all these different companies because with startups, it's all about arbitrage and figuring out where is the bleeding edge. And so you learn all the basics from the books, but you learn all the practical stuff from the people. Right. And then you want to be friends with those people. You want to talk to them about your real life problems. And there's a great saying, co-founders get on planes. Best is in person. After that is like a FaceTime call or a Zoom call. After that is a phone call. And after that is like texting over email. So I would text over email. I'd get them on a Zoom call. We'd bond around some books that I read, that they'd read, and change their life. And be like, hey, I'm going to be in Denmark on Sunday. You want to hang out? And they'd be like, wow, you're in Denmark? Sure. And then I'd book a flight to Denmark and I'd go. And so I did this. I messaged 100 people. Typically I get a response rate of about 35% of people would respond. Sometimes 30% of people would respond depending on how good my message was. And I would just sit in their office and see how they bought ads. And the next year, I wanted to do the same thing, but to learn how to do creative. So I made really good friends with all the people who made really good creative. And so I went and I slept over at MrBeast's house for 3-4 weeks. I did the same thing with Logan Paul. I did the same thing with Ali Abdallah. I did the same thing with Yes Theory. And I just learned how to make creative well. And so we got good at that. And then the next thing is I probably didn't run our ads for about 2 years after that. It kept growing and then it plateaued. And at a certain point, it's really hard because every time in business, you will find plateaus. And Brian Chesky has this great talk called founder mode. And I got this message to me by like literally 40 people because if I'm not the smartest person in the room, not the highest IQ, I'm not the highest EQ either, but I'm the highest AQ, adversity quotient. When something doesn't work, how long does it take for you to give up? And I just don't give up on things. I've worked on Speechify for 9 years. It's the same exact product, no matter what changed, crypto, AI, yada, yada. I'm like very focused on solving this mission. And so if it's really hard and smart people can't solve it, I'm a good person to solve it because I will find paradigm shifts of how to solve that thing. And typically it comes from learning. So I'll find people to learn from. And so, okay, we got stuck on the performance marketing. No big deal. I put myself back, coach put me back in. So I got back in and then same rule of 100. I made 100 ads where I wrote the ads. I performed in the ads as a talent. I edited the ads in CapCut, and then I reorganized all of our footage, which at the time we hosted in frame.io. I moved it all to Google Drive. I forced everybody on the team to download Google Drive automatic sync, so everybody has all the videos. And then I had a series of Zoom calls where I hired 24 editors over 3 days. So I'd onboard them 12 at a time, and then I'd basically set up this competition. And so in those 100 ads that I created, we got 6 new winners that were like the best performing ads of the last 12 months. And then I was like, great, now you guys make them. And so we got to the point that we're now doing between 8,000 and 10,000 pieces of creative per month. And we test them organically. So now I don't lead that team anymore. That team does a great job. And so it doesn't matter whether you're doing this for creative, for SEO, for ASO, for brand, whether you're doing this for hiring. So last year, 50,000 people applied to work at Speechify and 10,000 people took the asynchronous engineering challenges. And so a great example would be right now, we're working on this big project around voice. And we have a bunch of people working on our team in Southeast Asia. And I am in New York. So 30 minutes ago, I booked a ticket to fly to LA today because I wanted to have a couple of meetings there. I'm going to do those. And then I'm going to most likely fly to Southeast Asia to work in person on this project. I flew to Ukraine in the middle of the war in order to recruit someone who I thought was really good. There's another person in like a very war-torn country right now that I'm trying to recruit. There's someone I'm trying to get out of prison because they said the wrong thing under like a really bad administration, but they're a really good iOS engineer and I want to get them on my team.
Of course.
So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you are. We've had 17-year-olds from Uruguay that we've hired at Speechify. We want you to be in our team. If you just learn really fast, you'll fire on the belly for the product and high lows for the team.
That really puts it in perspective. I was about to ask about all the founders out there that don't want to put themselves on camera. And you talk about going into founder mode, and it's a lot more than just putting yourself out there. It's finding each department, where can you lead from the front, right?
100%. Yes. Always lead from the front. So we have a concept. We do not have managers at Speechify. We only have leaders. I do not accept the idea of having a fat general sitting in the back saying, take that hill. Fuck that shit. You run up the hill first. You engage the enemy first,
right?
And then the team should follow you. So it should be 80% of your time, even if you're leading a large team, hands on keyboard, coding, designing, talking to users. And it doesn't matter whether it's in software engineering or in design or in growth. You need to have the IC individual contributor skills. You cannot come into a team and, for example, not know how to buy Facebook ads or Google ads, or not know how to use Canva, or not know how to use Photoshop, or not know how to use CapCut, and expect people underneath you to go and do that work. Right. No, it should be that if they can't solve a problem, then you solve the problem.
Right.
And the ability to be a strong individual contributor is what gives you the credibility to then be able to dictate strategy.
Absolutely. Super valuable. So let's talk about comedians and ads. That's insane. Sure. Why are we doing it?
We had a lot of success in ASO, SEO, and in person.
Right.
One of the things that really worked for Speechify is I used to roll up to Stanford's campus with a roll of duct tape and I'd put it over my mouth, and I would give the product to users and I'd record them using it. And, I'd code this like gigantic green button and they wouldn't click. And I was like, why do you not click on the button? And so I had to iterate really fast.
Yeah.
So we cracked that. We found really high product market fit, started scaling. We wanted to scale YouTube. I found that for YouTube, funny is the thing that converted the best. Funny, high quality, horizontal video is typically 60 to 90 seconds long. And I'm funny, but I'm not the funniest person in the world. So I started making lists of the best comedians. Same as before, making lists of ad buyers and creators, specifically comedians who can write funny. And so I'd reach out to people that help me write ads. I'd write a script and it'd be okay. But I did this session with Hassan Minaj and he just elevated my quality of funny so much. And he taught me all these tricks. And so I'd hire improv coaches to teach me how to do improv better. And I had this one great experience. I have a good friend, Messiah, Nas Daly, who took me to this comedy show and we were in the crowd and they were roasting CEOs. And Nas points at me and I was all right, so I got roasted.
I saw that.
It was absolutely hilarious.
It's good.
And that organic clip got 1 million views. And I was wow, that's great. And so I started chatting to those 3 guys who roasted me. It was the first time I met them, but also DMing other people. Every single time I see someone on TikTok who's really funny, I send them a DM. I'm hey, I love your stuff. Here are 3 ads of ours that have performed well. If you were to write a script for a Speechify ad, what would you do? If you were to make an ad for Speechify, I'll pay you X amount of money. Let's see if it performs. And so it doesn't cost me much to send that message. But sometimes you find these diamonds in the rough that come out of it.
Right. You got to find them. Insane. So you started a niche with this dyslexia, and now 75% of your users are neurotypical. How do you know it was time to go mainstream?
So Speechify grew in concentric circles. So we started with people who had dyslexia, then ADHD, low vision, autism, concussions, anxiety, second language learners, and then just normal professional users, which is the majority of our user base now. The people like me who had dyslexia, you can't put on glasses and dyslexia goes away. You can't take Adderall, dyslexia goes away.
Nice.
The alternative is just you suffer. And so I don't want people to suffer. I want people to be their best selves. And I want to make sure that reading is never a barrier for learning for anyone, no matter what your background is. But at the time, I was the main engineer and I sucked. There were so many bugs. The voice quality was bad. And so only people who really needed it would use it. Then it got better. So people with ADHD used it. Then it got better. So people with vision issues used it. Then it got better. So people with language issues used it. And then it got so good that people who did not have a learning difference started to use it and use it all the time because they learned how to listen fast. So the average American reads at 200, 180 words per minute. That's about 1x speed. Mm-hmm. Off the bat, those Speechify users are listening at 1.5x speed because they're used to it from podcasts and audiobooks.
Right.
I typically speak at 2x speed anyway.
Right.
And so people then grow to listen at 2x speed, 2.5, 3x speed. And once you get to above 2x speed, you never stop using Speechify because reading with your eyes is fatiguing, it's boring. You don't retain as much because it's slow. Imagine you watch your favorite TV show, but you played at 1.5x speed. You'd want to jump out the window.
Of course.
So it makes any reading easy and interesting. And because you are smart, you want to make sure that the reading is equal to the pace at which your mind is working. And that's super helpful for not getting bored and being able to focus.
And everyone is different on what levels they can get to.
Everyone is different. Gotcha. You assign it to yourself, but Speechify has an automatic speed ramping algorithm that increases the speed gradually as you listen. So it coaches you to listen fast.
Got it.
It's like a treadmill that figures out how fast you run and then adjusts to you. And so it was not that I decided now it's time to go mainstream. It's that we saw that people were adopting it mainstream. Okay. And what we did is we started producing a lot of ads that did not include the word dyslexia, that did not include the word ADHD, because those are words that people feel a gravitation and affinity towards if they identify with that term. But if they don't, they're like, I'm not stupid. I don't have dyslexia, right? We all know that dyslexia doesn't make you stupid, but that's what they think. And so we just talk about how the product is used. Now, one thing that I am working on a lot more now is not just merchandising what the product does and the quality of the AI and all that jazz, but also, how it makes you feel, why it works. And to be honest with you, I haven't figured it out yet. I'm still trying to figure out what is the overarching message about, we have this concept. It's the tool that makes the hero, right? Whether it be Frodo in the ring or Harry with a wand, like Speechify is the thing that makes you into a super learner. How do I communicate that effectively to people from a brand perspective? I still don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Got it. Cliff, what was one product decision you made at the time that was may have been kind of risky, and it paid off, it worked?
There've been a ton. I'd say that the most interesting one that people don't pick up on is Speechify was originally a Mac app that was keyboard shortcut led. And I built an iOS app as an advertisement for the Mac app, but it turned out people really loved the iOS app.
Right.
And then I still wanted desktop to work, so I built a Chrome extension. The Chrome extension is a way better product than the iOS app. And the Mac app is a better product than the iOS app. But what I learned is people just do not download Mac apps and Chrome extensions as readily as they download iOS apps. So what I did is I started this project where we took the top 10,000 websites and figured out for this website, where would be the ideal place to put the play button if we worked on that team? And what is the kind of color and what is the font that we should make that play button? And so we built all these play buttons that look native to Twitter, native to Medium, native to Google Drive. And now if you open them and you have Speechify, the play button is there. And if you click play, it reads. And then you go, that's Cliff's voice, that's Snoop Dogg's voice, that's Gwyneth Paltrow's voice, that's MrBeast's voice, that's Speechify reading to me. But I just thought that Twitter finally supported accessibility well.
Wow.
And so adding all those play buttons throughout the internet was a really good move, but it took a lot to get the same.
Good play. Love it. So Speechify vanished tomorrow, just poof, it's gone. You have this playbook, right? What are you going to do and what is that?
I'm going to make Speechify again.
Just make it one more time?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Speechify is broken for whatever reason, I can't do my work. And so the first thing that I will do is fix Speechify. You might say you're not allowed to work on Speechify as a business. The first thing I would do is still build Speechify again so I can use it myself. But yes, the skill set is translatable to everything. But I would say that the most important skill set is not the tools I know about growth. It's the ability to learn how to grow, because every single month, there's a new channel through which you can grow, whether it be TikTok or Instagram or AppLovin or whatever. But even more meta than that, the most important thing is finding incredible people to work with. So the thing I always live by is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. So yes, I'm a very quick learner and I'm a very, very quick executor. But after I learn how to lead a department, I always find another person who might have not done it before, but they're really high IQ, they learn really fast, they have fire in the belly for the product and high loyalty to the team, and I anoint them to lead that team, and then I let them do their thing. And if I find they're straight off course, I might come and help. But those are the people who make Speechify so successful, and that's why we have so many users. Because I could not on my own do all these things. I have an 8-person leadership team who are all smarter than me. There's 24 people who work underneath them who also are all smarter than me. I just have this ability to see the greatness in others before they see it in themselves and trust them. And I think that that's one thing that a lot of startup founders fail, is they think they are the smartest person in the room, and so they can't trust other people. I feel very comfortable trusting other people because I think I'm a decent judge of character, and I can tell if people are smart. And so the most important skill I have is identifying people who are exceptional and then empowering those people. And that's the thing that no matter what product I worked on would be helpful.
Right. On that note, you said that your goal was to be the person that you needed when you were young. So what does success actually look like for you now?
I mean, I have 3 goals in life. Number 1 is be the best person I can be and have kids who are greater than me. I don't have a partner, don't have kids, but one day I would love to have that. I'm one of 5. Number 2 is to give as much love as possible, whether it be to my friends, significant other eventually, and even I love on Speechify users, right? I'm loving on the users by, and even Speechify users, people who I've never met before, I get to love on them by creating a product that gives them value. And number 3 is to create as much value in the world as possible and elevate the collective quality of life. In the short term, it's by building tech products. In the long term, it's by, figuring out what works and sharing it with other people. That's high level. Low level specific, I have a lot of side quests. I want to write a song that's in the top 100 lists on Spotify. There's 5 different moves in parkour and tricking I want to get really good at. Recently, I've gotten really into guitar. I want to write a musical. There's this character, Kaladin from The Way of Kings, I'm obsessed with. I want to play him in the movie one day. And so I like learning and I like exploring. And I think that at the end of the day, love is the most important thing in life. And the more you have of it, the more you get to give. And so for me, success is just being able to maximize the love that I give to other people.
Amazing, Cliff. Amazing. So last question for you. What is one lesson that you think every early stage founder, you wish they knew before trying to scale, especially if they're building for a niche?
Well, the most important lesson I think they should learn is to get flow like yours and a mustache like yours. That
I know, it's step one, right? Start there.
The most important lesson is to listen to audiobooks. So everything I've been able to do comes from the fact that I listen to 2 audiobooks a week, and I've done that for almost 20 years. It makes me deadly in literally every single topic. It doesn't matter if we're talking about nuclear fusion or the New Testament or growth scaling or hiring engineers or whatever it might be. I have like deep context in all of it because I listen. And here's the key. Most people can't add books easily to their reading list because they cannot read more than 1 book a week. So you're stuck to 52 books per year. I listen all the time. I wake up, the first thing that happens, my AirPods go in my ear, and then it starts speaking in Speechify's beautiful voice. And I listen at like 2 to 3 to 4x speed. And on my computer, I can listen faster. On my computer, I listen to like 4.5. So like 700 and 800 words per minute. So I plow through material, and it can be very specific. Recently, my favorite thing has been, I'll pick a topic and then I'll go to ChatGPT Deep Research, and then I'll output like 10,000 page document that I'll listen to, and then I'll learn how to do something really, really deeply. And so it doesn't matter what you do, the habit of intaking information that is interesting and doing it fast while you're doing other things like cooking, walking, working out, whatever it might be, it's just like an absolute superpower.
Anything. Well, Cliff, thanks so much for the time today. Thanks for answering this random FaceTime. Really appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, brother.
Thanks, Cliff.